welcome to another episode of Diary of a First Time DM. If you don't know who I am, I'm Megan. I'm 1/3 of the stream Board Game House, where we play board games on the internet for you! Woo! This week, we did it. I did it. I got through the first session. Let me tell you, I feel like I have a huge weight off of my shoulders for so many reasons. One, getting past that first, scary, gotta press the button. But side note, if you all could have seen my hands shaking, legitimately shaking when I had to press that go live button. Hello, and welcome to Board Game House, where we play board games on the internet for you. I'm shaking and nervous. You all would have been like, what is wrong with you? You do this all the time. But see, I don't do this all the time. This was a very specific thing that I was very nervous about. But I did it, I got through it, and now we're here. Hooray! There are so many reasons why I am so incredibly, happy right now. One is the absolute the reception that we got from it. I was incredibly nervous about starting it. If you have watched my other 4 videos, you know that I was very, very nervous about this. Super nervous about it. But you all were so kind and so understanding, and nobody got, frustrated when I didn't know certain things that I should probably have known as a DM. And I had to ask my players, that's this, right? Right? Yeah. Okay. Nobody commented on it, and I appreciate it. Thank you. Not that I thought you all would. I knew that there were going to be things that I didn't remember that I usually don't have to worry about because I'm not a dungeon master. I'm a player. Whew. And number 2, my players. Holy cow, they jumped just feet first into it. And I knew they would because, all of them love RPGs. All of them love Dungeons & Dragons. And the opportunity to play as cute little characters, they were all for. So, honestly, it was really no surprise there. But still, there was a big old weight lifted off of me when things started. But I actually do have things that I want to talk about this week that I can work on, or things that I want to work on in the future, or things that I just, want to talk about. So I've got a few of them. Number 1. Battle. Number 1, I made a mistake of rolling initiative for all of the baddies, which I realize now was dumb. I should have rolled initiative for one baddie and then initiative for the other 3 that were kind of the same group together. Should have just rolled one initiative and had them all go at the same time. In my head, I feel like as soon as somebody said that this is what you probably should have done, I was like, oh yeah, that's a really common thing. That should have absolutely remembered that. Didn't in the moment. But now I do. Now I remember. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do this. I also saw something on Twitter today that was like, Dungeon Masters, pre-roll your initiative for your bad guys and write them in there so you know where they're going to be and you don't have to break those moments for your own rolling, which I think is actually a pretty cool idea. I like it, but I also kind of feel I'm afraid people will think that I'm fudging rolls. I don't want that. I didn't fudge any rolls. I did fudge hit points. I'm giving so much information about this previous session, but I feel like it's important to talk about it. I learned a lot in the battle this week. This is my first time, obviously ever running one. So to know going into it that these characters had, 9 hit points, and then my big baddie had 27. Okay, cool. My players started hitting them so hard, like started taking them down really quickly, and I'm like, they're not gonna last for as long as I need them to. It's like, oh, so I'll just add a few hit points. I'll bump it up to like 13. Would have been fine had I not actually hit a character like 3 times and knocked them down, because of course my first time DMing, I knock a character down and they have to roll death saves, because why? But I didn't take into consideration that 1d6 plus whatever is actually a lot. So I didn't truly take that into consideration. I was like, oh, they're taking these down really fast. I need to bump them up. And then, things got really dicey. And of course, I wasn't going to let him die in the first session. It just wasn't going to happen. I wasn't going to let it, because that's no fun. Like, no, it just wasn't going to happen. I wasn't going to let that happen. So I learned, maybe don't add quite as many points. Also, as a DM, if you want something to happen, you should probably pay attention. And that one I can't really go into very much. But I definitely should have paid a little bit closer attention to how long I could stay in situations, because they rolled, like I said, they rolled really, really well. They have very high stats. So they were hitting left and right, including my big bad. So, but I think I definitely have a much better idea going into the next session what I need to do to make it A, flow better, and B, not be quite as difficult. Number 2, pacing. Honestly, I felt like the pacing went actually really well. I did not stop on the beat that I wanted to. I actually wanted us to go further than we did. But there were some really good roleplay moments in there. There were some really good RP moments, and I'll be honest, it's super fun to RP an NPC. Didn't actually think I would enjoy it as much as I did, but when we got to little Eliza, I had a whole different idea for what Eliza was going to be when I was reading through it, and then Eliza just came out. As you all are walking, she's like, so these roads are going to travel really close to the mock field, so we may want to be a little careful, because I don't know if there are going to be like any slimes or like any ember bats or like things. She just happened, and she made me really happy, and I'm really excited to continue to play Eliza as the game progresses. I felt like the beginning was a little slow. That's kind of understandable. I'm not creating my own world, so I was having to dump them into a situation to get them to continue forward, which usually wouldn't be so bad. And this kind of goes into another topic that I'll talk about a little bit later. Getting past that first hump of this is the world, this is the setting, this is what you're doing, and getting them kind of where they needed to go. Once we got on the road and moving on, I felt like the pacing went really, really, really well. It was just getting to that point. I probably should have taken a break earlier, and that's more of a stream thing. That's more of a doing this live kind of thing. I didn't have us break until 9 o'clock because it wasn't really that I wasn't paying attention to the time. It was that I didn't feel like there was a good spot to say, we're going to break here. I didn't feel like there was a good spot. But I did know coming back where I wanted that new beat to be, because I knew we weren't going to get we weren't going to get through the next one. So I was like, well, let's just kind of drag this out. Number 3. Getting off the page. This is a big one for me. So what I did was I wrote down everything. I typed up the intro, which I took directly from the Humblewood supplement, because I felt like if anybody could describe their world, the writers for Humblewood. That's what I need to read. So that's what I did. I just basically copy and pasted, printed it out, and read that first introduction to the world. And then I wrote down my own introduction to where the characters were and where the town was and that kind of stuff. I kept a few things that they said, like Sleepy Town of Meadowfen, because, it's nice. But here and there, I really kind of put my own spin on where our characters were starting. Leading up to this, and I mentioned it in the last video, so I didn't read that my players were supposed to be from this town and start here and be kind of an adventuring party already. This is kind of important. So when I let them loose, they all, spread out and all had very specific places they wanted to be from. Great. Well, when I realized this, I was like, well, crap. It's fine. So I messaged them the night before and was like, hey, this is a thing. You all, I would love to say that we did a session 0, but we didn't do a session 0. So I said, you all, fought this battle the night before. That's how they know you for to be a group. You all took care of some rats in the basement of the tavern, which is why you all are in the tavern inn, and he offered you a night's stay, and the rest of you came back to kind of to pay to get that breakfast that he promised, and that's where we're going to start. So because of that, when I had them, doing their stuff, I had certain things that I needed to read. That was really hard to make fit into what we had already, where the conversations and stuff were going. So getting off of the page, once I was able to get past that and what I felt like I had given enough of what was in the book, I felt a lot better. And I will say, I said previously that I didn't know if I was going to paraphrase some of the things. And, I did in the moment. I had them written down exactly the way that I wanted them to be said. I had them written down exactly the way that they were written in the book. And then, the way that information needed to come out, it didn't fit with what was going on in at my table. So I gave that information, but in a slightly different way. And once I started getting off of what I had written and had sitting in front of me, it was so much easier for me to just sit back and be able to let the story take form. I will say I'm struggling a lot with distance, and I know that. It doesn't say in the book where I can find that. It doesn't say in the book about how far it is to travel from place to place, so I was picking things up off the top of my head, which I realized that there is probably a key that I could use and have that ready, but honestly, I didn't think about it. If that's the least of my worries, then I feel like I did pretty well. That was the only thing that I really wasn't super confident about. But all in all, I feel like it went really, really well. I'm actually really excited to start planning for the next one and to present some more things. I'm really excited to get this story really going because I really think that they're going to like it, especially if they liked. From what I could gather, my players were genuinely interested in what was going on. It just happened to work out. And I say work out, and that makes me like a terrible person. But it just happened to work out that we had decided that 2 of my players were going to be from the town that was destroyed. And I didn't put 2 and 2 together until like the night before. And I'm like, oh my gosh. But you know what? I love it. I love that this happened because I'm able to do something later, much later, that's going to be really important. And I'm so interested to see how it turns out. And I can't talk too much about it because I don't want to give it away, but I'm genuinely excited to like make this particular decision as a DM and decide what is going to happen. So it really worked out for me in the end, and I'm really excited about it. Also, wholesome content alert. And this is one of my favorite things. My grandma texted me the next day and was like, "You look so pretty on BGH. You're a good dungeon master." And it made my heart so happy. Just so happy. Just made me happy. Ooh, gosh. I am thrilled with how the first session went. And I am thrilled to be joining in the ranks of dungeon masters that are streaming because there are a lot of them. And you know, you always kind of want to do them proud. And I feel like we put on a good stream. And I'm very happy with where we're at. And I am so excited to bring the next session to you all. And I really hope that you will be there to enjoy it. If you enjoyed this video, hit that subscribe button below. It would really mean a lot to us. If there is anything that you want to see me talk about, put it in the comments below. In the meantime, join us Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time at twitch.tv/boardgamehouse, where we play all sorts of board games and RPGs. The next Humblewood session is going to be next week on the 13th of March. Come join us. It starts right at 7. Come hang out. Bye!